Hello and welcome to this video all about the circle of fifths. So this video was actually taken from my music theory course. To gain access to this full course, just check out the link in the description below. Okay, so now we know how to work out the notes of a major scale, and we also know the 7 different chords we can use for each major scale. However, sometimes these chords might get a little repetitive, or you might not even want to use these chords, so we can refer to something called the circle of fifths to actually find different keys that are near the key we're in. So this can be useful to actually modulate or change key completely, or to even temporarily go to a key and use some chords from that key and then go back to the key that we're in. So here we can see the circle of fifths. It's called the circle of fifths because it quite literally goes round in fifths. So if we start on C here and we go around clockwise, C to G is actually a perfect fifth. So if we have the note C and then G, this is actually a perfect fifth. So remember our triads, so C major, the fifth of C major is G. And then going from G to D, this is a fifth as well. So to play a G major triad, the fifth note is this D, and then the fifth note of D will be this note A. So going back to the circle of fifths, the next one is an A. So it quite literally just goes round in fifths all the way around until we go back to C and it repeats. And each time we go round the circle of fifths, we're actually adding a sharp. So G has 1 sharp, then D has 2 sharps, A has 3 sharps, E has 4 sharps, B has 5 sharps, and F sharp has 6 sharps. And then when we get to F sharp, it actually changes to flats. There are a few different ways to do this. You can change the flats a bit earlier or later, but I like to do F sharp so it's bang in the middle. So here F sharp has 6 sharps, and then on D flat actually has 5 flats. And then we're going down flats. So we go to A flat, which has 4 flats, E flat, which has 3 flats, B flat, which has 2 flats, F, which has 1 flat, and then C, which has no flats or sharps. So around the circle of fifths, we're actually adding a sharp each time until we get to the middle of it. So when we get to F sharp, and then we're actually taking away flats. And if we go the opposite way, if we go anti-clockwise, so C to F, this is actually a perfect fourth. Because if you have a perfect fifth, and you invert it, this will make a perfect fourth. So C to F is a fourth, a perfect fourth, and then F to B flat is actually a perfect fourth. Because in the scale of F major, there is a B flat and it's a perfect fourth. And it's also a perfect fourth from B flat to E, and then a perfect fourth from E flat to A, and then a perfect fourth from A flat to D, and then a perfect fourth from D flat to F sharp, etc. all the way till we get back to C. So the interval clockwise is a perfect fifth, and the interval anti-clockwise is a perfect fourth. So this can allow you to quickly work out what key is next to the one you're currently on. So if we're on C, we have 2 options. Well, actually 3 options when we consider the minor keys. But let's just have a look at the major keys to start with, and then we'll have a look at this inner circle for the minor keys. So the major keys, you can either go a perfect fifth to a relative major, or you can go a perfect fourth to go to another relative major. So these are very closely related major keys that you can easily modulate to, or you can even borrow chords from temporarily. So we have a lot of options. We don't just have to use the 7 chords from this C major scale. We can also borrow some chords from this F major scale, or even some from this G major scale. The reason they're closely related is because if we go either to the right, it's only 1 accidental difference. So G major has an F sharp, so it's only 1 note difference. So they are very closely related. And if we go anti-clockwise to F, this has a B flat. So this is just 1 note difference as well. So it won't sound too different if you temporarily move to one of these keys. However, if we do want to move to, say, a D flat, which is quite far away from a C, there are a few ways we could do this. We could either go around the circle of fifths and gradually move round until we get to D, or we could just abruptly go to D flat. It could sound a little strange. It is a lot easier just to go to the keys that are next to the one you're working on, which is why this circle of fifths is really handy, because we can just quickly see which keys we can go to, how many sharps or flats they have, and also their relative minors. Now let's have a look at the relative minors. So the sixth note of every major scale will give you the relative minor scale. So in C major, the sixth note, if we count up, C, D, E, F, G, A, will be this A minor. And A minor actually has the same notes as C major, but in a different order. So C major is rooting around the C, and A minor is actually rooting around A. So it's the same notes as C major. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, but starting on the A minor. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. So it's the same notes, but in a different order, really, starting on the sixth notes. So this is really a type of mode. We'll have a look at modes later on, but it's easier to think of this as just the relative minor. So just think of the major scale, whichever major scale you're starting on, and the sixth note above that will give you the minor scale, the relative minor scale. So if we're in G major, for example, the sixth note will be E. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This note here, which is E. G major also has this F sharp instead of an F. So E major scale will have the same notes as G major, but starting on a E. So E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E. So that's a relative minor. We're going to be looking at minor scales in more detail later on. But just for this example, so you understand the circle of fifths. So the relative minor is a different scale, but it has the same notes as the major scale, but it starts on the sixth note of the scale. And that's the same for all of these. And if we go around this inner circle, this is the same as well. So 1/5 from A will give us E. A fifth above E will give us B. F sharp. Then continuing on, it'd be a fifth all the way around. And if we go the other way, a perfect fourth from A will give us D. Then a perfect fourth from D will give us G. Then C, etc., going all the way around. So it's a fifth clockwise, and it's a perfect fourth anti-clockwise. So having a look at the circle of fifths gives us loads of options. So if we're in C, we know that we have the 7 chords of C major. But we also know we can borrow some of these chords from G major if we want as well, and some of the chords from F major, and also this A minor, which is a relative minor, and maybe even this D minor and the E minor. So we have a lot of options here. So say, for example, we're playing a song in C major, and we want a new chord. So we've got C major, we've got E minor, we've got G major. We want a new chord, and the other ones don't really work. And we don't really want to use this diminished chord because it sounds a little strange. What we can do is use the circle of fifths and actually borrow a chord from G major. So G major doesn't have a B diminished. We work out the chords in G major. So it goes major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. So B is the third note for G major. And remember in the pattern, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. So that's how you can work out the chords in the major scale. The third one is a minor. So we could borrow this B minor if we wanted to. So say we're playing a song in C major, we could have C major, E minor, G major, and then go to B minor if we wish. So we can have a few more options. That doesn't really sound too weird. So I'm just going to play this on the keyboard now. I did use a few inversions there just to make it sound a bit smoother, but to me that didn't really sound that weird because it was only one accidental, it's only one note difference to make it out of the scale. Then we can go back to C. We don't have to stay in this key, we can just temporarily use some of the notes, We can do the same going to F. We can add a B flat. So say we're playing a song and it doesn't quite work. We want a new chord. We can borrow a chord from another closely related key, which in this case is F major. So say we're in C major and we're playing some notes, and let's just use the B diminished again as example. We don't want to use B diminished because it sounds a bit strange. However, we're just wasting that chord, we're wasting that note. We could just modulate to F major. And if we have a look at F major, you realize it doesn't have a B natural, it has a B flat. And if we have a look at the notes in F major, so remember to work them out with tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So it's F, G, A, B flat. So tone, tone, semitone. It's a flat. So B major has a B flat. And because this is actually the 4th scale degree of F, major, minor, minor, major, it's a B flat major. And if you don't want to use a diminished chord, this can be quite useful. So for example, you could play C major, which is obviously in C major. We could add in a B flat major because, from looking at the circle of fifths, it's a closely related key. It has a B flat rather than a B natural. And in F major, the B flat is a B flat major chord. So let's have a look at the piano keys here. If I play a C major first of all, and then I go to say an E minor, which fits in C major, and then we go to a D minor, the next chord could be this note here, which is actually a B flat, but I've inverted the B. So I'll just play that again. Could be C major, so in C major, E minor, D minor, and then B flat. So this just gives us a few options. That didn't sound too crazy. It didn't sound too out there. It did fit. It added a bit of colour, added a bit of interest because we're mixing stuff up a bit. We were temporarily going out of key, but we went back into key. So it's absolutely fine to do. So this is just a quick way to find new chords that fit in your scale. And it doesn't have to just be in C major. This can work in any 12 of these major keys. And we can also do this with the minor keys as well. We can modulate either way with the minor keys and also with the major keys, and we can modulate from the major keys to the minor keys or the minor keys to the major keys. So we can do this temporarily, or we can actually change keys. So in this lecture, we've really just gone over ways of doing this temporarily, how to just add a chord or just go in another key temporarily and then go back to the original key. In the next lecture, we're going to actually look at how to change keys. So thank you for watching this lecture, all about the circle of fifths, which is a really useful tool to know which keys you can modulate to or which keys you can borrow notes from and which ones are closely related. I hope you found this video useful. This video was actually taken from my full music theory course. To gain access to this course, just check out the link in the description below.